I'm Ida with the North Point Service Team. We're busy these days with two important projects. One is Operation Christmas Child in partnership with Samaritan's Purse. Now, in the past, we have spent just a few days in November gathering things together as individual families. But this year, we want to try collecting specific items each month and then joining together in one packing party. Families will be welcome to fill their own boxes in November, just before Thanksgiving or so, but it will also be fun for those who want to come together one time for a packing event, where we will use the items we've gathered each month from now until then to help fill the boxes. This month, new water bottles and new washcloths that will fit in the box. Watch for updates on what we'll be collecting from month to month. Operation Christmas Child. Good news, great joy.
Well, welcome back to the online service of North Point Christian Church, the thing we do here every week. Glad you were here with us. This week, I'm actually doing this a little earlier. Here in Louisville, it's actually Wednesday afternoon this week. I'm doing this a little early this week because we got kids camp coming up on the weekend, and I guess I could say that I am in this self-imposed competition with maybe some other people that exist now or have existed, of me actually trying to be the oldest guy to ever sleep in a cabin full of smelly fifth grade boys. Yep, that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend. And so you can either laugh at me or you can pray for me. Either one would be a good thing, I would imagine. But anyway, we're trying to get this done a little earlier this week, and it doesn't make it any less important and connected to what we've been studying here over the last couple of months. In preparing for this week, I was reminded of a story in my own life, and it's a really lengthy story. You're not going to get that. Maybe if we sit down over an iced tea someday, I'll tell you all of it. But if you'd be interested, but it comes from my high school days, back when it was legal to haze students, or to have kids go through some kind of a pledging thing to prove their worthiness of being part of that club on campus. And it's a good thing that those were canceled out, because really in college there have been numerous stories of kids getting hurt and even killed doing these kinds of foolish behaviors. But back in the dark ages, we weren't nearly as smart as we are now, and so I wanted to be part of this really popular group on campus, and you had to be invited to do it. And lo and behold, at the end of my junior year in high school, I was invited to pledge to be part of this group on campus, this kind of elite, snobby group of guys who were athletes and, that kind of stuff. Some things have never changed. But I wanted to be part of it, and it was a real privilege to be asked to be part of it. And it had sort of a service aspect to it, so we'd go out and do good things for people in the community. But the real reason why anybody wanted to be part of it was just to see if you could make it through the initiation, the final initiation, and then the great prize for having gotten through the initiation is you got to do it to other guys coming behind you. So really kind of not a good thing. But I can remember that night of my initiation. Now, I'd had 6 weeks of pledging where I had to do all forms of foolishness. Every day at school, carrying books, actually carrying other guys in the club to their class. They would redress me every morning, and I'd have to put my underwear on the outside of my pants. My clothing would be buttoned in different ways, and it was, I don't know, it is one of those things. Then we get to the initiation, and I had to eat all kinds of unsavory things. I had to do crazy things. I remember I had to dress up in only a towel around my waist, and they doused me with water, and I had to go into a local grocery store and buy a bar of soap. Stand in line, buy a bar of soap with a towel around my waist. That's one of the things I can tell. Some of the other things were just completely bizarre things to do. Now, on the surface, this initiation, this pledging and initiation was to be a test of my loyalty to the group, to show how devoted I would be to this group's principles and to the guys who had passed before me. The real question that they were asking was, how much does this club really mean to you? How much does friendship with these guys really count in your life. And, and so the pledging and the initiation, that whole 6 or 7 weeks of my life into my junior year, I'm telling you, looking back on it, it absolutely exposed weaknesses and insecurities in my life, and how much I cared about what my friends thought of me in an absolutely unhealthy way. Yeah, looking back on the night and the things that I did, yeah, it is pretty funny. And I'd like to say it was harmless fun. I mean, there was never any point where anybody's life was in danger or anything like that. But beyond that, I look back on that time and I'm absolutely embarrassed by what I did, disappointed in my inability to stand up to these guys and go, I don't want any part of this foolishness. I don't want any part of doing this. It's pointless. And even to this day, it really does make me think and remember about what kind of condition was my heart in at that point in my life that made me do this. What was going on inside of me that said that somehow this is okay? We know as followers of Jesus that God gives us new hearts. We've studied the past 7 or 8 weeks of our role in caring for our hearts and guarding our hearts and protecting our hearts, making wise decisions about not exposing our hearts to things that are unhealthy. And as we draw this study to a close, I want to look at a couple of Bible passages that give us just kind of a final lesson on our heart. The first one is found in Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 9 and 10. You can read it here on the bottom of the screen. The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Ouch. Who can understand it? I, the Lord, search the heart and examine the mind to reward each person according to their conduct, according to what their deeds deserve. That's some serious business. And then we read in Psalm 139 these words, these famous words. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. These verses teach us that God searches us and examines us and tests us and probes us and exposes our heart to us if we're willing to see it. As we learned last week, really a little bit farther back than that, we learned that humans look on the outside, but God, in his infinite wisdom, looks at the heart. God sees something much deeper, much farther on the inside. The eyes of people they're drawn to appearance and performance. But God searches for things like commitment and focus and priorities and integrity and devotion, even willingness and openness. It's because he looks at our heart, our inside. So really, this is what I was thinking about this week. How does God see the real me? Does he just know it? Or is there a way that I participate in communicating what's going on the inside? Do I communicate that to God in some way? And he is able to see it more clearly than anybody else could ever see it. Where are the layers peeled off to expose the person that I really am? Well, listen to this. I'm going to try to be really as practical as I can be on this. The process, just the process of life in general lays our heart bare. It's simply unavoidable. It's natural. Life and death and loss and separation and growth and change. And how we handle those things speaks of our faith and our depth, our maturity and our values, and even our view of the world. In a word, just going through life shows what kind of heart we have. And then there's our greatest fear. Our greatest fear, the unplanned and the unexpected, the traumatic experiences that blindside us, the catastrophic suffering that is inflicted on our life for no apparent explanation, accidents and disasters and tragic loss, and then the sometimes unspeakable pain that happens afterwards. It's in these moments we are exposed. We are exposed. Our heart is laying out there to be seen for what it is. And then failures and disappointments, those kind of things that happen in the normal course of life, I think they probably do more to expose the condition of our heart than just about anything. You know, when things don't go our way, when unfairness hits home, and it can be in the little things of life, like the games that we play and the process of going to school and growing and graduating, or things in our home life. Character and heart are revealed there in those kinds of failures that we go through regularly. Or maybe sometimes it's even bigger when we, as parents, look at our own children and see them struggle and fail in life or in faith, in their relationships, or our jobs, our marriages. Our response to these failures and disappointments, they show the condition of our heart. Or how do you handle success? How do you handle recognition and awards and reputation? Do you act differently when you have unexpected money? When increase in what you have, it just gets bigger and bigger, and you're able to accumulate the symbols of wealth and status? What happens? What happens to you? What happens to your heart when things go really, really well? Are you different? Do you change? Do you continue to have gratitude to God, or does pride well up inside your heart? Yeah, success is a huge barometer. And what's our response to sin and sinful behavior and temptations in our own lives? Who are you in the secret places? What is our attitude towards our own sin? How do we feel when we know without a doubt that our behavior is contrary to the heart of God? Do we somehow say, "Oh, I know God's going to forgive me anyway"? Well, the truth is, God will always expose a twisted and selfish heart. The only question is, will we listen when it's exposed? And then there's people. People. Bad people, difficult people, mean people, hurtful people. People. bosses and classmates and teachers and coaches and neighbors and drivers on the road and politicians and family members. I'm telling you, people are the testing field that God uses to examine and probe the depths of our hearts to find out what we are really like. And what about waiting? Yeah, waiting. I don't know, I find this to be particularly difficult for us who live in this land of plenty, as opposed to the majority of the world that lives our lives in perpetual waiting to have enough to be able just to take the next step. We're not like that. We struggle with waiting. We struggle with being patient and being content and not worrying. Just a casual visit to most of the countries of this world. And one of the things that you'll notice is that everything is in the process of being finished. Virtually nothing is ever finished. Here, we want it finished now. We don't want to wait. There's a verse in Isaiah. The prophet Isaiah says, "They that wait on the Lord will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings as eagles. They will run and not walk. They that wait on the Lord." As we end this study on the heart, I want to go back to where we started. When we come to God on his terms, when we begin to see Jesus for who he really is, when we come to him by faith, the words of the Bible paint this amazing picture of what happens to us. The Bible uses all kinds of different words, but it says that we've been saved, we've been redeemed, we've been rescued, we've been born again, we've been set free, we've been made right, we've been transformed. Yet those words become nothing more than $100 words for us. Look, and I said this weeks ago, and I think it just bears repeating again. It's like a kid given a present for Christmas, but he doesn't understand how it works. He doesn't have much patience. And so the partially unwrapped box lays there unopened while the kid plays with other gifts. Until you sit down with your kid and help them open that present and understand how it works, until they understand that this is an amazing present that you have given them. They just didn't know how it worked. I think that's what happens with what God has given to us. Ezekiel chapter 11, verses 19 and 20, we read these words. "I will give them an undivided heart and put a new spirit in them. I will remove from them their heart of stone and give them a heart of flesh. Then they will follow my decrees and be careful to keep my laws. They will be my people and I will be their God." I'm telling you, this Old Testament promise, I think, is the same one that we can claim today. When we come to Jesus by faith, the Bible says that we are given a new start and given a new heart. God takes our slate and erases it, erases all of the evil, all of the sin, leaving only the good. He takes our hearts that have been hardened by hurt and sin and evil in the world, and he gives us new hearts. Hearts that are able to accept his love, share it with others. He gives us his Holy Spirit, his constant presence and power to face any situation with reverence and grace and obedience. A few years ago, my physical heart got a brand new start through open heart surgery. And after that, even to this day, I take extra care to protect it. I listened to my doctors and leaned into what they had to say. I let them teach me. I read everything I could. I got to know how this physical heart worked. I learned about nutrition and exercise from a whole new perspective. And I'm still learning as I have taken sugar out of my diet over the last 4 or 5 months. Learn about getting proper rest and what happens to my whole body when I don't get that. In short, I embraced the importance of taking care of my physical heart. And the same is true with our spiritual heart. We've just got to take care of it. There's no way around it. I want to challenge you as we kind of wrap this whole study up. We should take care of your heart. I want you to remember that today, even as we share in the Lord's Supper as we do every week, may the body of Christ, revealed in the bread and the juice, may the body of Christ be real to you and transforming to you, transforming in your hearts today. Till next time, see you.
All heavy laden, acquainted with sorrow, may Christ in our marrow carry us home. From alabaster come blessings of laughter, a fragrance of passion, joy from the truth. Grant the unbroken tears ever flowing from hearts of contrition, only for you. May sin never hold true, that love never broke through, for God's mercy holds us, and we are His own. This road that